Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. Hello, Donald Allen in the Facebook chat. I am coming to you live from the beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey, which actually the day has turned around. It was not beautiful this morning, but it is beautiful now via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio and television. Gina, how are you? Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Super excited. Tracy Greenwald, hey, thank you for joining me. I'm really excited today because Dave Milner Man, what's happening? Marianne, hi. I'm saying if you're on shrmedia.com and you're wondering who it is that I'm yelling at, I'm also streaming live on Facebook, and as the Facebook is filling up, I'm just kind of hollering at some folks. So that if you're not on Facey and you want to join me there, feel free to. Or if you are just listening in, go ahead and hop on over to shrmedia.com and we can certainly chat there. I am a multitasker. And good afternoon, Mr. Thomas. So if you hear me like shouting at people, like shouting people's names randomly, that on SHR Media, and you're wondering why, or if you were listening to this podcast as a repeat and you're wondering if I have some kind of just name Tourette's, that's not what it is. I'm saying hi to people in the Facey commentary there. So anywho, I'm uber excited today because my guest is a cryptocurrency expert. Although we're going to be talking about Bitcoins specifically, and this specific Bitcoins program that is going to help hurricane relief. This really is Money Talk with Melanie's first kind of foray into cryptocurrency, which I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. I know surface stuff about cryptocurrency. I don't know the deeper stuff of cryptocurrency. So I'm going to get him. Katina, hey! So I'm going to get Bitshares CEO Dylan Howard to explain to us a little bit about what cryptocurrency is and about what Bitcoins are, which, and actually there's a little bit in the news about other types of cryptocurrency. And I have some other experts lined up. So we're going to talk some more about cryptocurrency. And I've actually, people have been in my inbox asking me about cryptocurrency. And honestly, I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm hardly an expert. Kevin, hey, I'm hardly an expert. So I've been reaching out to people to try to find some experts, and I hit pay dirt. They actually, landed in my lap. So I'm really super excited that I'm going to have Dylan on the show this afternoon. So we have that. We have that to talk about. So that's an awesome thing. Before I go any further, I definitely want to thank my sponsors. Hey, Lamarge. Definitely want to thank my sponsors, the Tax Mama, the one and only Eva Rosenberg. Go to her website if you haven't done so already. Tax Mama with 1 M. She answers your tax questions for free. And she has 2 award-winning books, Small Business Taxes Made Easy and Deduct Everything. Hello, Thomas Lee Miller. Also, there's... Come on, Melanie. Come on. Don't you were on a roll. Also, David, Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. has blessed me in the chat. How are you, darling? Also, David Barnett of businessbuyeradvantage.com. If you always hear these commercials, especially on places like Fox and your business channels about buying franchises, and more and more, it's a little bit easier to do that. Well, if you go to businessbuyeradvantage.com, there's hundreds of instructional videos on how to go about purchasing franchises. At businessbuyeradvantage.com, who is another one of our sponsors. He also has 2 great books, 21 Stupid Things People Do When Trying to Buy a Business, and another one called Franchise Warnings. So you want to go to his website, look at he's got hundreds of YouTube videos too, that are absolutely free. So you want to check those out as well. What else do I have to tell you? In addition to, okay, so I was on Sirius XM last Friday. So if you want to catch that on demand, hop on to Sirius XM, Patriot 125, their website on demand, and you can catch last week's show. I'm going to be back this coming Friday on Patriot XM channel 125. Patriot Tonight is the show from 9 p.m. to midnight. I'll be back there. So super excited about that. If you're into getting up super early and want to listen to me bloviate about whatever in the heck's going on in the political world, Daybreak USA, I have a radio hit at like 7:23 a.m. on Daybreak USA with Angie Austin, which is on about 50 stations all across the nation on KLZ 560. So there's that. I want to get to the news because like there's like some good stuff. So I'm trying. I'm working. I'm moving. Anywho, so there's that. I want to bring to your attention also, if you're looking for, there are so many natural disasters going on in the world, so unfortunate. Please do continue to cover the victims in prayer. And from a practical perspective, if you want to help out and you're looking for a reputable place to send your money, do check out 8 Days of Hope at 8daysofhope.com, spelled out the number 8, EIGHT, Days of Hope, spelled out. They're a non-denominational nonprofit organization that are accepting donations for hurricane victims, and the money's going to get where it is supposed to go. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that for sure. Target, I don't know who's running Target or Target. They're raising their minimum wage next month to $11 an hour. Yeah, you go for it, Target. You're going to be out of business soon, sugar. Anyway, and then after that to $15 an hour. Whoever's running their company, do they know anything about marketing or economics or anything? They're also the people who are doing the, whatever sex you feel like today, bathrooms too. So that's whatever. All right, Target, whatever. So there's also that. That's what Target's doing. If Target wants to do it, fine and well. I don't understand, but that's what they're doing. So let's see what else do we have going on in the news. Hey, listen, if you're really into vacuum cleaners, hi people. You know what, Kevin? If you're really into vacuum cleaners, particularly Dysons, you should know that they've been secretly working on the electric car. So Tesla's going to have a run for their money, FYI. So you might want, like, if you have a little bit of stock, and Dyson makes great vacuum cleaners. Not that I'm like a big vacuuming fan. There's a reason why I have hardwood floors, just saying. But but they do make fantastic vacuum cleaners, and they've been secretly working on the electric car. I know, right, Dave Milner? Very cool. So they've been doing that for the last 2 years. So I think that if you have a stock in Dyson and you can afford it, I grab some more, for real. Because that's going to be like a thing, and Tesla better watch their back. I thought I wasn't going to talk about this because it's just going to make me angry. And like every single time I talk about this, it makes me mad because the GOP managed to drop the ball again on healthcare. Again. Seriously. Can I ask a question? Like, I thought the whole thing, like behind the whole vote thing, was that you're supposed to like have the votes before you present it. Like, you're supposed to know that you have them. Is it me? What am I missing? What am I missing? I don't understand it. How do you not have the votes? But they didn't have the votes again. They messed up again. The third time. They messed up. Now, I generally have a 3 strikes, you're out kind of rule. And I'm kind of done. Like, I really, and if they're saying they're going to go back to the drawing board. And why don't they know before they start talking about it? Like, I don't understand. Like, why don't they know? I'm done. I'm furious, and I'm done. I don't understand. I don't understand why they can't get this done. They've been promising us this for 7. See what happened? Exactly. South Park kids could do it better. See what happened? Like, I started talking about it, and now I'm mad, and like my whole mood has changed. Because I'm ticked off, and I'm even like really trying really hard to keep my language super clean because I'm that mad. Because every time I start thinking about it, I'm that mad. I don't understand why they can't fix this. Like, it's not. How hard is it? You guys have been telling us, like, you had this for 7 years. You had it. And it's like 1 or 2 votes. Get it done. Figure it out. Who's firstborn do you have to get? Get it. Whoever it is. Fix it. I'm sorry. Now I'm sounding like DJ T. But come on. Like, fix it. Get the doggone bill to get it done. And by the way, what happened to tort reform? And what happened to selling across state lines? Where did that go? What happened to that? We can't get one clean bill to open up the free market to sell across state lines? Why can't we get that? How long would that take? 5 minutes? See? Let me calm down. Sorry. See, that's why I wasn't even going to bring it up, because I kind of knew that what just happened was going to happen. Hey, Miss Holly Dunn. But I'm going to calm down. Hey, Linda. I'm going to calm down. And we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have Dylan. We're going to have Dylan. And we're going to talk to Dylan about cryptocurrency and Bitcoins and whatnot. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And we will return momentarily.
If the monument bashers and other leftists trying to eliminate evil memories from society, I find it ironic that they themselves are creating evil nightmares of oppression and bigotry. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, on one hand, the monument bashers say that they are eliminating images of slavery that irritate them so much. Even leftist Nancy Pelosi suddenly gets the heebie-jeebies when she walks past the same Confederate monuments in the Capitol that she has strolled past for 30 years without so much as a slight notice of their existence. Speaking of slavery, have you noticed how neither the monument bashers or other leftists hardly ever mention the disdain of the current slave trade in the Middle East, where black Christians are held in bondage by brutish Islamists who view black people as nothing more than slaves who God created without souls? The truth is, monument bashers and other leftists really are not concerned about monuments or dead slaveholders or Confederate flags. They are actually focused on George Soros' mission to destroy American history and disrupt the successful function of our constitutionally limited republic, which stands as the last natural hope against his globalist ambitions. I'm Ron Edwards.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Ah, look who it is. This is perfect timing.
Yeah, so that, wow.
I got you. Okay, so we're back, as you might be able to tell. We are back. We're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. Your time is impeccable. So, because literally just took a break. Now, are you listening somewhere else? Because I'm getting feedback.
Feedback? You're just on my speakers.
Yeah, I can hear myself.
Okay, so 1 second. Yeah, let me, all right, 1 second.
Okay, cool. So I'm really, really excited that I have Dylan with me, who is a cryptocurrency expert and a Bitcoin expert. Keem Perry's here. Catherine Kane is here. And anybody that I missed, oh, thank you so much. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Anybody that I missed, I'm really sorry, because you guys are popping up really fast. So if I missed you, I'm sorry, but howdy. In the Facebook and Dylan, you have no idea how happy I am to see you.
Likewise, right? Yeah, good to meet you.
Yes. So I explained to my guests, my listeners, I should say, earlier, that you're CEO of Bitshares, obviously, and I've been meaning to have someone on. Lonnie Poindexter has going. Well, hello, Mr. Poindexter. But I've been looking for a cryptocurrency expert to speak with for a while now, and you just fell in my lap. So I am really excited to have you on the show, and then I'm particularly excited about what you guys are doing with the hurricane victims. Very excited about that. So we kind of need, because this is Money Talk with Melanie's first kind of foray into cryptocurrency, we need to do baby steps and kind of explain to the audience a little bit about what cryptocurrency is, and then I guess Bitcoin, and of course what your company does. We're not going to leave that out.
Sure.
And then what you're doing for hurricane victims. So that's kind of like the layout of what we're going to do.
Okay.
Here. We're cool with that.
Fantastic. Yeah. Very, very, that's a good agenda.
That's my agenda. That's the agenda.
Love it.
Let's start out with talking to the audience about what in the world cryptocurrency is. What is that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I won't go too far back in history here, but basically, you can look at the same thing, same setup as how the internet is basically a mode of exchange of information. So the internet's able to exchange decentralized information globally, internationally, peer-to-peer. So that was the first stage of the internet in its manifestation. And then the next phase that we're moving into at a very rapid pace, I might add, is we're going to now start to exchange massive amounts of value through the internet. So it's not just information, it's now value in the form of very secure, encrypted blocks of information, which is basically value in these blocks. And you can basically start a chain of these blocks that can never be taken back, or you can't really manipulate it because it has a block by block laid out system that is very secure and encrypted. And it's no longer centralized. It's basically spread out to many different computers all over the world that are actually processing these blocks of data. So there's not just one computer doing it. Otherwise, that could be easily hackable. So now there's just tons of blocks being processed by many different nodes. We call them nodes, or computer servers, that need a lot of energy to process this information, or these blocks of value. One block, or like one Bitcoin, has enough energy that they could power like 12 neighborhoods for like 24 hours. So that's just one coin, and that's why it does take actual energy to create these coins. With like, you know, coal-fired power plants in China, or some of the more dirtier energy plants, they're actually mining them with a lot of different energies. We're trying to actually be more sustainable with our energy usage, but a lot of coins take a lot of energy. So there's actually energy backing these cryptocurrencies. It's not just you know, just for fun monopoly money.
Right.
There is actual energy creating them, and so this is a whole decentralized network of them. Yeah, go on.
The teacher in me wants to stop and just make sure that we don't gloss over what what you just said, right? I'm a recover.
Yeah. So repeat back to me. Yeah.
Right. So so these Bitcoins are, we're not talking about, you know, like what we have here in the United States, where we have you know, money that used to actually be worth something because it was backed by gold, right?
Right.
Bitcoins are backed by energy, right?
Basically.
And so you avoid
and supply and demand. Yeah.
Yes. So you avoid that whole the problems that are inherent with dealing with that kind of backing, and which are many. Right. Quantitative easing, the Fed, all of that.
Derivatives, the whole thing.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, right. and back 10 years ago when Bitcoin started, people thought it was just like this woo-woo, nada, you know, it wasn't going to go anywhere.
Right.
Suckers.
Yeah, so, they downplayed it quite heavily, as you know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's been around for quite some time. So,
right.
So that's what it is. Now, from a practical standpoint, now that we know what it is from a technology standpoint.
Yeah.
How does, you know, Joe Q Public, Jane Q Public use a Bitcoin? How does that work?
Sure.
Or any cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is just kind of
anything.
One, but there are several.
Right. Definitely, yeah. There's a hybrid economy forming, basically, and so I'm a member of the hybrid economy because there's these on-ramps and off-ramps. So one of the on-ramps is you can go through these centralized exchanges. You can buy your Bitcoin with your credit cards, your debit cards, your bank accounts. You're able to get cryptocurrency that way. However, there's a limit, and it takes a little while to go through verification of your identity to actually get your cryptocurrency. So there is definitely some hoops to go through. Not to get into Bitshares quite yet, but Bitshares, which is the company that we're working out of, it's an autonomous organization, so I don't actually manage it at all or run it. It's basically a decentralized exchange, kind of like how Coinbase is actually a centralized exchange, so they're more prone to being hacked. But our decentralized exchange is the first ever system where you can exchange into any different cryptocurrencies, from BitUSD to USD to all the different current currencies on our platform. So that's just to let you know that we have an answer for the centralization of the exchanges. But that's one on-ramp. So you go on that on-ramp. You have private brokers as well that might want to liquidate a larger asset if you want to exchange gold to cryptocurrency.
Oh, did I lose you? Okay, you're still here.
Okay, sorry about that.
Sorry, no, the very last thing that you said, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So there's also, going off of the on-ramps, there's also private brokers that you can find and search for that can handle larger volumes of cryptocurrency purchases, which are like maybe 100 grand and above if you want to liquidate hard assets like metals and stuff. So there's definitely lots of ways of getting cryptocurrency. And you usually want to probably go offshore if you can, because it's a little more safer and secure than the centralized exchanges. But that's a lot of different things you can look into and Google and do your research for. So the off-ramps, once you have the cryptocurrency, the really cool off-ramps that I'm going to show you that I'm not really totally endorsing as a marketing thing, but this is something that I'm using. And this is a BitPay card. It's a Visa-backed debit card. And literally, I'm loading my cryptocurrency on this card, and I can swipe it at the grocery store, and I can spend my cryptocurrency, all the top ones, in the real world, buying a car, house. I can buy gasoline. You know, you can put like up to 50 grand or something on this card at a time if you wanted to. So this is a BitPay. There's other cards like this.
wonder why the connections. Okay.
Is that better? Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
So these cards exist. There's like probably at least 30 of them on the market in different nationalities, and literally they're international cards. So you can, anything that's Visa accepted, you can use these for basically most of your bills, your life, your travel. I've been able to go on trips to the Bahamas, to all these other places doing humanitarian crisis work, be able to spend all this on my card, and even just go into a cafe, buy a cup of coffee. So that's just giving you a little insight that there is a bridge coming together with the alternative, the old banking system. I like to call it old, and then this advanced Renaissance banking system that's coming. Yeah. And so there's a few cool things about it. So you're able to basically not only hold all of your assets on this blockchain system that's really secure, and it's basically, there's no inflation to it because there's only a set amount of coins in circulation or ever created. So let's just say for Bitcoin, for example, there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever created or ever mined in its existence. So we're up to like 18 million Bitcoins mined or created now. So there's another couple million to go. So we're looking at a very supply and demand ratio. So there's a very inflation cap that you're not going to be able to cross ever, unlike the US dollar and all these other fiat currencies. There's all this inflation going on, but with these cryptocurrencies, they're capped at the amount of coins ever created. So you're looking at, let's just take in, for example, if there's 1 billion people looking for Bitcoin to be their main currency for the world that they're wanting to do transactions with, that means the value of Bitcoin will go up tremendously, up to maybe $1 million of Bitcoin, because it's supplying a 1 billion person market, and there's so much demand in a 1 billion people that it's going to drive the price up. And you're only going to look at Bitcoins as valuable as the decimal point. So maybe 1/100th of a decimal point is going to be like, whoa, if only I had 0.0005 Bitcoin, I'll be rich. But meanwhile, we are sitting here with 1 Bitcoin, 10 Bitcoin, and we're like, oh, I guess this is going to eventually be our life savings on the blockchain. So because you're talking about this so early, you're allowing your viewers to really get involved sooner than later, before the entire rest of the world decides to follow suit in this industry, including countries. So you're looking at something where there's going to be over 3 billion people coming onto the internet for the first time, and they're going to use a new form of e-commerce to start doing business around the world. So we're talking about the different developing nations. They're all looking to finally get to the point where we can actually all communicate. And not only that, but they also want to start doing commerce with each other in different capacities, and not under the pressures of the petrodollar, which basically only funds war. So they're looking to get out of that system. And right now, I don't mean to burst any bubbles. I'm very transparent. But I don't mean to burst bubbles, really. It is a bit of a learning curve, and I've done lots of research on the subjects of economy, and it's a very sad world when you start digging further and following where the money goes. So we're looking at a new money system that's able to put the power back into the people, back into the nations, that aren't being betrayed and usurped by these corporations for the natural resources, giving out loans and then collateralizing their natural resources to pay back these corporations and banks. Meanwhile, they're at the cost of their nation and their people. They're suffering, and there's mass poverty. So you're able to turn that over and basically use cryptocurrency for nations and entire annual budgets to be on the blockchain as nations. And then they can start being like, well, if you have oil and I want to purchase that oil, I don't really need the US dollar. I can actually purchase the oil by my own pegged asset currency. And I can say, all right, that oil is it's now pegged to this oil token, and I can trade my oil tokens for your oil, and I can then do that without using any world reserve currency. This could work really well for Venezuela and for already countries that are begging for something to help them, like Greece or other nations in great distress that have basically been left behind. So you'll find that a lot of the nations that are very stable in this old paradigm are not going to let go of it very easily, but you'll find that a lot of the developing nations, they're actually so hungry for the new technology and the innovation that they're seeing as ahead of them, that they're screaming for and they want to embrace it much more than the first world nations, you'll find, which is basically the funny thing is, as karma goes back and forth, the third world nations are actually going to become incredibly powerfully technologically and educationally, and they're going to surpass a lot of these other industrial nations because they're choosing now to let go of all these rules and patents and be like, I want free energy. I want all these things that are shelved. I don't really care anymore. My people are starving. We're about to literally lose everything, and we're having the greatest economic and environmental decline in our history as a nation. So they're much more ready for the technology. Otherwise, the other countries are much more, they don't want the old technology to change because they're making so much money off of it. So there's a very much an economic warfare going on just with the resources of the planet, and then also giving people their empowerment, especially nations, to start really banking with what resources they actually have. And Africa, I'm not picking on them, but Africa, as an entire nation, they are the most mineral rich nation. If they peg their assets that they have in ground and like the gems, the diamonds, everything, they could start importing tons of technology, tons of innovation, vertical farms, new food systems. You would have water purification. Everything would be brought to Africa because they would have all this wealth backed by their collateral assets that are actually in their country, and not like all this other crazy stuff with all the inflation of the dollar and everything. So there's a lot of simplification that can happen. I know you think this might be very complex. I mean, I'm talking to your viewers, but a lot of it can be actually more simplified because a lot of people don't even know how the economic system really works as it stands now. So, I mean, the blockchain actually kind of simplifies it a little bit to like, well, you have this supply of something, you have this demand of something, the amount of money is going to be here to make that equitable. Because there's so much demand. I mean, it's basic math. You're not into these weird quintillion derivative bubbles and all these really wild, I'm buying derivatives and repackaging them and all this really weird. I think it's meant to be confusing for all the reasons that you're probably mentioning usually on your show. So blockchain's really a simplification in a large degree, and it's really the things that we're looking at as a team. We're looking at getting this into the secondary markets, the third markets. Forget tier one. We want this to be something where their grandparents can put their savings on here and not worry about their 401k being taken away and all these other things. Put your money in cryptocurrency. It's going to grow because so many people are going to start using this technology. You're ahead of the curve here. So a lot of people are just putting their retirement money on there and just letting that grow. And then when they're done working, they can cash out their cryptocurrency. So what we're also looking at is creating endowments on the blockchain where cities and entire nations can put their annual budget on there. They don't actually have to spend that budget. They can actually collateralize, create their own line of credit that they can reinvest into their nation and into their businesses, repay these smart credit lines, and you actually have your own endowment system. You can have your own endowment system for your family. You could put, hey, my family made, we got $100,000 in the bank. Let's not spend it. Let's draw from it by keeping it in a bit. So it's cryptocurrency is really replacing those mechanisms that you're used to. It's like, oh, let's park my money somewhere. I get a lot of money back in interest every year, and I live off of that. But the cool thing about that is you can do this now with cryptocurrency, and it's not going to kill you to like put. It's not going to. You're going to be rewarded a lot more with cryptocurrency because as it stands right now, you can't really park any money anywhere and expect like a 1 to 5% return every year. Right. The banks are insolvent, So they're like, where are we going to put our money? We have nowhere to go. And so all I'm saying is there is a bridge. My family of humanity here, we have a bridge. It will work. Even if you put $100 in our system now or any system, that $100 could go up by a factor of 1,000 in the next 2 years.
Beauty of this whole the whole Bitcoin thing, just as we're just using it as an example because there are other forms of cryptocurrency, but it doesn't have. You don't have to buy like one Bitcoin. It can
diversify. Try them all out. Yeah, it's fun. You're picking and choosing different coins for different reasons. There's different utilities. I mean, my cryptocurrency that I'm promoting, it's more of a decentralized exchange where you can give yourself your own credit. backed by the Bitshares that you have. That's a whole other thing we'll get into a little more discussion. But there's lots of things that other companies are sharing, like, oh, my cryptocurrency is backed by space on the internet that you can store data. There's so much cryptocurrency for different reasons that it's not all about the value. It could be in exchange for some utility on the internet, the Internet of Things.
And there's a whole philanthropic piece to this, right?
Right, and that's what we're working on at the forefront.
I totally tripped over, nerding out on some TED Talks, which is kind of like a hobby of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're up against the break, and we're going to talk about the philanthropic aspects of this whole cryptocurrency Bitcoin thing, and specifically what your Bitshares family is doing.
I would love to share that.
Very excited about that. I love what you guys are doing, so it's going to be fantastic. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your one and only business diva, Melanie Collette, and we will be back in a few moments. Welcome to this week's 5 Minutes of Finance. This week we talk about employment and career scams. Yes, people are out there scamming people. Jobs, which really, really stinks. So we're going to talk about a few, what they look like, how to recognize them. For example, career consulting scams. Here's what it looks like. A career consultant will email you and say they're super duper impressed with your resume and they'd like to represent you. And really what they're doing is they're trying to pitch their product or service and trying to get money out of your pocket. There are several recruiting scams. Recruiters will contact you. They'll say that they have clients with positions that you could be qualified for. And usually this is just another attempt to sell you something rather than recruit you for an actual job. Always, another one you have to be aware of are phishing scams. Any attempt to get personal information via email is always an opportunity, and this is not just job and career scams. You have to be careful about phishing. If you can't apply directly to that job, then be very aware that it's probably an attempt to get your personal information, your personal contact information for some type of identity theft. Another big one is shipping scams. These are work-at-home opportunities where they will actually tell you that they will ship you office equipment and things like that, and all you have to do is front the money up front. They will pay you back with a fake check that will clear at first and then eventually be returned, and you'll be left holding a bag. It's a really bad situation. There are also unemployment scams. These are people, criminals, who will offer to help you with to file unemployment insurance for a fee, which you don't have to pay a fee to file unemployment. There's no benefit to doing that. You can do so through your home state with no problem. In fact, it's against the law. So contact your state unemployment office if ever you want to file unemployment. Another one is called a bait and switch scam. This is a scam in which you apply for a job and they pick you for an interview. Lucky you. But during the interview, you discover that the job that you applied for actually doesn't exist. And they want you for something completely different. This is a job that nobody wants. Absolutely nobody wants. But they're going to try to convince you to take the job. Another big one is direct deposit scams. Never, ever, ever, here's the deal, give out your banking information in order to get a job over the internet. Now, one would think this would be common sense, but these people can be very, very convincing. Rule of thumb, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So that is this week's 5 Minutes of Personal Finance. Be very careful. Look out for employment and career scams. These people mean you no good. Remember, all of this is very important because it is your money.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Okay, we are back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and I have with me the fantastic Mr. Dylan Howard. Very excited to have him with me today. He is the CEO of Bitshares, and he is giving us all kinds of fantastic information on all things cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And so now we are entering what I'm most excited about is the philanthropic aspect of this cryptocurrency situation, if you will. So we talked about all of the advantages of cryptocurrency, but there's a philanthropic aspect, and Bitshares, quite frankly, is leading the way and has a very specific program for hurricane victims. So Dylan, talk to the audience about what's going on there.
Yeah, thank you. I'll get a little feedback there. 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so one thing I'll start off just so we understand some value that's already established with Bitshares. So basically, Bitshares isn't mined, for instance. It's actually all the Bitshares are already in circulation, managed by this smart contract code that kind of creates an autonomous organization out of it. So there's no human like pushing anything around or making anything happen. It's all based on logarithmic codes that the computer or the network is executing on its own. So Bitshares is actually backed by its demand for its shares, so supply and demand. So it's similar to like a coin being backed by like Apple stock or Amazon stock or different. It's like a digital stock market, an emergent one. With a lot of less regulation to it. And so it's a proof of stake, which is a much more effective way of going about cryptocurrency than backing it with proof of work, which is the mining. So we're doing proof of stake. And a lot of other groups like Ethereum are moving in this direction in the light of the autonomous organization architecture, which you can Google all this. It's really interesting. So going back to the actual structure, what we're doing. So ever since we got, we saw these hurricanes hit, we were basically put into a test of our own metal. And we were basically looking to see like, all right, well, how can we use our system to fundraise disaster relief money for these different disasters for Harvey, starting with Houston. And so what we decided to do is we were going to launch this anyway before these disasters hit, but we're basically launching something called the Billion Hero Campaign, which is the idea of getting 1 billion users of these cryptocurrencies, maybe Bitshares or coins on the Bitshares network. They can use these cryptocurrencies and they basically put their own investment into it, and then they actually start voting what causes they would like to actually put their Bitshares towards or their heroes towards. And so just to go over a little bit, our structure is you can buy Bitshares and then you can collateralize smart tokens that are backed by these shares. So it's like shares in stock. And then this stock has a value that's pretty much a fluctuating value, but then you have these lines of credit that are basically backed by these stocks. So if you had like $1 million raised, you could do a collateral 2-to-1 ratio of your Bitshares, your $1 million in Bitshares. You can collateralize $500,000 into circulation or $500,000 worth of this alternative cryptocurrency coin that's backed by this other shared asset. So Bitshares is collateralizing something that we're calling heroes into existence, and that's something called the hero coin or the sovereign hero. And these are our this coin we basically created as a derivative of Bitshares, where its sole responsibility is actually helping humanitarian projects get funded and to actually bring disaster relief dollars through this coin mechanism. So this is kind of how we're we're separating everything. So our Bitshares, people that want to donate to the hurricane relief programs, they can buy Bitshares. A celebrity could buy Bitshares. They can put some of their foundation dollars onto Bitshares, and then they can collateralize these heroes into existence by escrowing their Bitshares. It's tightly locked away. You can't liquidate them because that's the collateral that's giving value to these to these hero coins, and then you're able to spend these hero coins providing alternative housing, water purification, whatever is needed or what's on the priority list. You can actually start spending these heroes in that vein. And the idea of the Bitshares in collateral is while there's more and more industries starting to use Bitshares, that's going to put the demand of the currency value higher. So you're able to start having this endowment develop, which will start growing as the usage of the currency starts getting much more mainstream. So you might have $1 million right now, but then if many different industries start really pulling their money together to start creating their own economies, you're able to get maybe a factor of 100 growth in that endowment. So the idea would be if there's 1 billion people that want to support these humanitarian users, that would shoot Bitshares to a factor of 1,000. So that $1 million can become $1 billion in a factor of maybe 2 years. And so we actually have donated as a company $1 million to these efforts, and that's in a separate account. And that account's going to grow over time with this Billion Hero Challenge of people getting involved with this cryptocurrency in whatever level they want to. By them participating, they will have choices of ICOs, which are initial coin offerings, or projects that they can vote on that they would like to see this $1 million to $1 billion given away. We're going to give away $1 billion to these relief efforts. Yeah. So at the end of this sort of market cap that we're looking for, we'll have $1 billion to give out to 12 heroes and 12 different industries, and they can all be going towards the different Miami, Bahamas, Caribbean, Houston. They can be all going towards different projects that are also aiding these areas of our world that are in crisis. But they all have a choice of like, what am I interested in? What kind of hero do I want to support? It could be celebrities. It could be Elon Musk. We're looking at people like that. Okay. Well, who knows? People that have, forward-thinking ideas, Tesla, things like that, but we're looking at, these different spots to be filled for people to start really putting their voting power into these projects. So the winner team or winner hero that brings the most heroes into using this cryptocurrency, they're going to be the one that gets for their causes that they're promoting. So it's a major philanthropy thing. It's called the BillionHeroCampaign.com. You can look that up. I'll say it one more time, the BillionHeroCampaign.com. And you can go on there and actually buy cryptocurrency like Bitshares or the Hero Coin with your credit card. The whole idea of it too is like a gamification education platform, because a lot of cryptocurrency is. This whole platform is going to be on an ongoing build out of educational gamification materials where you're actually playing a game and learning cryptocurrency at the same time, and maybe winning, and you might be winning like actual cryptocurrency by setting up your first wallet. So it's like kind of giving you like a sense of reward and a sense of game to actually start learning this new industry. So that's something that we're doing as here. Yeah. I mean, you'll walk it through. It'll be walked through with you. We're just launching the website this month, so we have a lot of new materials that will be going out every week, really. But we do have some live links to supporting the hurricane relief efforts on that website. And the other website you might want to check out is bitshares.org, and that's a place where you can actually set up your first Bitshares account. You just name your own login, your username and password. That's all you need to create your Bitshares account. Okay. You don't even need any like social security number. You don't need any photo ID. Wow. You don't need any of that. You just go in, just create your account. Make sure you don't forget your password. But that's about it. And you're on to the exchange. You see what it looks like. And then really the best way to get Bitshares is actually by going through some of the online exchanges, public exchanges, like Coinbase and others. If you want to buy a lot, if you're like a foundation or an investor, I do have private brokers, but you can look them up as well. Private brokers that can handle 100 grand or more into cryptocurrency. They can do it in 24 hours, some of them. So there's a whole emergent brokerage market that's happening that can definitely assist higher groups that want to give more.
Okay, wait. Okay, I have two questions. I have two questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Really good, and I don't want to not answer them.
Sure.
So one question was, I'm gonna hard to pick one. All right, because they're both really good.
Yeah.
From the philanthropic standpoint, how do you prevent other countries, these foreign countries, from taking over Bitcoin? Because and using it for terrorism. That was one question.
Yes.
And then the other question was, how do you how's the government dealing with the regulatory aspect of this?
Yeah, sure. So the SEC is very involved by going into like, is this an actual security? Is this something else, like a crowdfunding campaign? So there's very fine lines whether these ICOs are actually part of stake in a company and all this stuff. So the SEC is much more of a regulatory body that pretty much locks people up, gives all the money back if they are handling insecurities or not. So there's a lot of regulations that we do follow as best practice as we can. A lot of what we're doing, though, is working directly with the cities and the nonprofits that are supporting the cities, that the cities choose. Some of the nonprofits that are not very trustworthy, I don't mean to put wet towels on people, but a lot of people don't like Red Cross and some of these bigger names because a lot of the money goes to their overhead and their CEOs. And I don't mean to be blunt, but that's what's happening.
A lot of people, yeah, do that at this point.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. So one of the cool things that we're providing as a financial service is a lot of nonprofits like us because we have a public ledger that shows every single dollar spent. So, if people start buying cars and start moving it around, we will see that and it will be on the public record and they will be accountable. So we're very, so that's one way of controlling things. I'm not in control of Bitcoin. That's a whole other cryptocurrency. That's blacklisted in China. It's blacklisted in other countries because it is very, who knows, it's very Wild West. Bitshares is a decentralized exchange, so we have a lot more functionality and a lot more protection with it. We can see what other people are doing in their accounts if we wanted to. If there's a lot of crazy activity happening, we can trace it a little bit. However, we don't know the identities of the accounts. The account identities is very non-transparent. We don't know who that is. But we can see what accounts hold what. But as far as just making sure these humanitarian dollars get to the right projects, what we have been doing in the past, which is going to change the nonprofit industry, we feel, is we can basically go to some of these nonprofit funders or donors and say, hey, I think we can actually throw a fundraiser where you only have to fundraise once. And this money basically goes into this endowment of Bitshares, and it all just sits there in this endowment. We don't liquidate the shares. We just collateralize a nonprofit token. So it could be Feed the Children. I'm not endorsing them. You never know. They might be a little wild as well. But I'm just saying names that you might familiarize. So Feed the Children, they might have the Hungry coin or Feed the Children coin. And so those Bitshares that these donors raise together creates an endowment fund structure where all this money sits here. There's like maybe 10 different signatories that can access that account at any given time. So it's very hard to access. Even the nonprofit can't access it. So basically the nonprofit draws from the credit that's released, which can be a 2-to-1 ratio collateralized account. So if you have $10 million in Bitshares, you collateralize that entire amount into an escrow account in Bitshares, and then you can create $5 million of credit to the nonprofit to do their charitable work. You don't touch the Bitshares. You let the Bitshares grow because the demand of the market will make the price of each Bitshare grow. Right now, we're only talking 14 cents a Bitshare. It's below the dollar. So once goes what we think it will go to a factor of 1,000, we'll see a similar rise of it, like Ethereum, where it went from $13 to $300 in 2 years. So
we're up against the show. You have to come back. We're up against the close of the show.
Yeah, but that's it. So anyway, visit Bitshares.org.
As I thought you were going to be. Wait, say that again?
Visit Bitshares.org and find out more information.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. Dylan Howard, everyone. He was absolutely fantastic. I want to thank everyone for joining the show this afternoon. Remember, all of this is very important because it is your money.
Right. It is your money.
Dylan, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Talk with you soon, I hope. I'll be back.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.